Welcome back, my daywalkers, my creatures of the night, my warriors, my wanderers, and everybody else in between. I am so happy to be here this evening. Welcome to the Rotaroons on the Infinite Frequency. I am, as always, your host, Leo Lothbrock. Marnie Moon, my co-host, is laying on the bed in the studio as we speak, and she seems to really like it. First of all, let me just check in with you. How are you? How's the day been? How have you got through it? Was there many obstacles? Have you given yourself a chance to sit down, pause, and just see how you feel? Have you allowed yourself time to process the day, the things that went right, the things that didn't go right? And that's, part of the nightly inventory I like to do, which is like a nightly gratitude list. So what have we been up to, or what's today about? Obviously, I said I was going to be here throughout December. 100% I'm going to do at least one show every single day. I'm going to try and go live over the December period. I don't know if I'll definitely get to do that. But what I will do is I will 100% in January be going live with a show. I've got a book coming out, which the pre-launch date now, hopefully, is the 27th of February 2026. There's a personal reason for that for me, and I'm hoping I can stick to that date. That would be awesome. If I don't, if I can't and it gets moved, it's okay. The book is definitely coming out. It's a hard-hitting, honest, real take on the experience, strength, and hope of my life from all the way through. It's like an autobiography of a recovered alcoholic, and it will take you through some highs, some lows. There's definitely some emotional roller coasters in there. Sometimes you'll hate me, sometimes you'll love me, sometimes you'll feel bad for me. And maybe you won't feel any of those things. Who knows? Because I'm not a special guy. I'm just a normal person who's trying to express what it was like, what happened, and what other people are going through. I've been through it. I've been there. There's not an awful lot I haven't had the mispleasure or pleasure of experiencing through my life. The last 5 years in particular have been absolutely crazy, almost the yin and yang the whole way through. Sometimes absolutely beautifully wonderful, beyond my wildest dreams, and at other times perplexingly difficult. So with that being said, today, like I say, it's been a bit of a tricky day today. Some curveballs got thrown my way. But that's the bonus. Once you're in a spiritually fit place and you know yourself, it doesn't matter if somebody else is trying to tell you how you feel. As long as you know in yourself, I don't need to react to anything anymore. Sometimes you have to pull away from things that no longer serve you in order to continue on a peaceful path. And with success comes loneliness. And it's interesting. I never really understood that in the past. I do now. But again, I'm fortunate. I felt real loneliness. I've been in the streets, on my own, just crying my eyes out, not knowing what was going to happen next. And today I sit here in my beautiful flat, huge really, with my gorgeous service dog, in a flat that I have spent my time and effort in making my own. I've built my own studio within my property. And these are things that I would never have done. I would have sat back, it's a bit tired today, I'll take it slow. For me now, going forward, I don't, the only time I know is now. So if you say, do you want to do something? I'm like, yeah, cool, let's go. Even collaborating or whatever. And I think that's important, to seize the day, carpe diem. There's never going to be a right moment. Life's never going to be perfect. There's never going to be a happy time when you will be perfectly happy and everything's going to be smooth. I built this show up from the ground in the hardest possible times, in the most difficult way. Everyone was telling me I was doing it the wrong way. I should do it this way. This is the way it's done. And like me, I'm tenacious and I have my own way of doing things. 9 times out of 10, I will always do it my own way. And there's a reason for that now. And it's very simple. If I make sure I do what I think is right, whether it's wrong or not, it doesn't matter. And then I don't look back and go, what if I'd done it my way? I don't have any regrets. I don't have any issues with how far I've come. And believe me, to get to this part, to this point where I've got 200 plus episodes, we've got 200 plus episodes in the bank. And we are now on every single platform, including YouTube. It's amazing. I just cannot believe it. But to get here, it wasn't an easy journey. I didn't have any shortcuts. And in fact, right in the beginning, I believed I was going to be one of the biggest shows within 3 months. Now, that shows the naivety. And that was I guess, the old addict in me, the way you try and just go off impulse rather than logic. But you roll forward 5 years, and I've learned an awful lot in that time. I couldn't read and write 5 years ago. I had no idea what a phone app was. I was still using a flip phone that could just make calls. So to move into the world, first of all, coming out of that life I was living, was difficult getting used to. And then to do what I wanted to do, which is what I'm doing now, the show, it meant that I had to learn about technology. I had to study it. I had to look at different platforms. I had to look at different apps. And bearing in mind, the first 2 years, I was using a phone which was about £40 when I got my first, in brackets, Android phone. So you can imagine how slow it was, how awful the processing power was. But I persevered. And do you know how frustrating it is when you've got a phone like that and you have to change things through apps and you have to change the sizes and you have to zip this and unzip that? And it was an interesting journey. Let's put it that way. But did I give up? No, I didn't. I kept going. I don't know the word quit. I've never quit since coming into recovery, which is the complete opposite to how I used to live my life. It got difficult. I used to run away. Not anymore. Now, just because I say I don't run away, it doesn't mean that I won't remove myself from situations that no longer serve me. Absolutely. Because to me, that's a bit naive. But I will always assess the situation, assess the risk, assess the bonuses, and then make my calculated or educated choice from there. So let's move on a bit. So on good news, and for me anyway, good news, yeah, it is actually. I've got a brand new bed coming, which is awesome, and it's thanks to a very close individual, my stepmom. Thank you very much. Because I purchased a bed and I'm having huge problems. The one I purchased has disappeared. The courier's saying they don't know where it is, but they can't. So without finding it, they can't scan the barcode to say that it's missing or to send it back. And the company I got it off are saying they can't do nothing because as far as their things show, it's the last day of delivery is like the 27th of December. So my money's tied up there. It will come back, which is fine. But it's frustrating. So I reached out, asked for a bit of help, and I've managed to get a new bed, and it's coming on Wednesday, which is fantastic. Because I was in hospital last week with pneumonia. I'm not saying this to feel bad for me. It's life. Okay, we all go through things. And as a subsequence, that's the reason for quitting the smoking, for quitting the coffee, for quitting all the sugary sweets, for everything. And it's been a difficult week. This is the end of day 6, I think. So fuck me, tomorrow's day 7. That's incredible. And I'm so blessed. I feel absolutely blessed because yes, I've had cravings or triggers, but I have reacted to them differently. When they come up, like I said, I tell myself, no, I don't engage in that behavior anymore. It's not something that I wish to do. And I find that in itself very, very powerful. And it helps me and helps my system to recalibrate itself and understand that those old patterns, that old behavior no longer serves me. Did I think I could get this far this quick with absolutely zero help? No. On top of everything else that's been going on? Absolutely not. But there you go. That's the beauty of life, isn't it? And that's the beauty of being human, is that we don't really know how much we can go through until we're going through it. So that is pretty cool. Sorry, excuse me. Oh, sorry, I just had a big yawn then. So Yes, what are we going to do today then? We're going to move into another show. Do you know what? I just need a quick break. So what I'm going to do is put on some beautiful royalty-free Christmas music just to get myself a bit more relaxed, a bit more in the mood, and hopefully you will enjoy it with me as well. So without further ado, let's have a little quick look and see what we can find. Here we go. I think you're going to like this one. I do love them being able to put the music in there. It's brilliant. It just gives me a bit of a break when I'm getting a bit brain foggy or that I need to grab a drink or anything like that. So I'm sure it's the same for you guys. So, what are we going to move into today? Well, today, in this section, we are going to talk about shadow work, inner light, and reflection before rebirth. So, transformation isn't gentle. It comes wrapped in comfort or convenience. It doesn't come wrapped in comfort or convenience, sorry. It's raw, it can be messy, and very often quite brutal, if I'm honest. But with that being said, it's the tearing down of what we once called me. And it's the cracking open of what we used to protect. And in this episode, it's going to be about that journey, the shadow, the light, and the moment before rebirth. So we have to start somewhere, and normally it's the descent, which I call meeting the shadow. The transformation, like to transform, you have to go through a huge fall first. You can call it what you like, the bottom of the barrel, a rock bottom, a high low. You know, there's many different terminologies for this sort of thing. But the shadow is everything you've buried. It's the anger, you know, that justifiable anger, the unreasonable anger. It's all of it. It's the grief. It's coupled by shame. And then, of course, you've got the mistakes, because we all love to make mistakes and highlight our own mistakes. Most people spend their whole lives trying to hide, running from it, hiding behind distractions of stories that would keep them safe. But when you do finally face it, when you stare straight into the dark, that's when transformation begins. It's not about fighting the actual shadow. It's about listening to it, hearing it, trying to relate to patterns, trying to understand what it is that causes you to always end up in the same situation. You know, I look at myself internally. I have a dialogue with myself, and it absolutely, for me, has been incredibly rewarding. Like I say, it is not easy. It's probably one of the hardest, if not the hardest things I've ever had to do. It's, you know, I have to ask it, what are you trying to show me? You know, the mirror, the reflection and honesty. When we do go through the transformation, it demands reflection. And I'm not talking reflection on the world. I'm talking about transformation and reflecting upon yourself. And we talk about these things like it's a choice, and it's not. At the end of the day, for me, it's a day up. It's the reckoning. It's the moment where it's too much. We cannot take anymore. You know, some programs call it sick and tired of being sick and tired. I was fed up of always ending up in the same situations. I was tired of fighting. I was tired of continually making the same mistakes again and again and again, and never really looking at myself to make sure I didn't do it again. Just, you know, hoping that an apology would suffice and then promptly go on to do it all over again. And that's where the guilt and shame is. during the reflection time, I sat on my own a lot. And in the beginning, it was lonely, but you get past that. If you can start to really look at yourself, I mean, truly look at yourself, analyze your day, analyze your activities. Does this serve me? Why am I doing this? What led up to this decision? Was it a choice, or is it a culmination of a sequence of events that have led me to this choice? Therefore, it's not really a choice, but a pattern. And then that's what I try to do. I try to assess and look at patterns, the cycles, the continuous things that can repeatedly show up in all of my bad situations. And it's a hard skill to learn, to be able to, first of all, be open enough to be honest with yourself, then to look at yourself, see it, and not run from it. And if you manage that, you've then got to digest it and see what sort of person you are and see how you can use what you've learned to move forward and not continue in the same way. When I was sitting alone, one of the biggest things would be the pain that I caused that would always flow through me. The guilt of the amount of people. And, excuse me, I do apologise. And then there's the pain that you've carried. And that's the hard bit. This part hurts. And it's supposed to, because only by being rigorously honest with yourself, only by being truly honest, is it possible to burn away the illusion and see what's actually left. And it took me time to learn these skills and to continue looking at myself until I could see the pattern and the reaction and the cycles, which inevitably led to the pain that I was always going through and the pain that I always inflicted on others. And that's important, looking at that, because there is an illusion. I had an illusion that I never used to be hurting anyone. It's my life. It's up to me, blah, blah, blah. And that's just not the case. All of my actions had massive consequences on the people around me, the loved ones, the people I said I loved. I was nearly said pretend. I didn't pretend at the time, but my actions would definitely say that you wouldn't do that to people you cared about. But that's the funny thing with addiction. It's not that you do it because you don't love anybody. And then it's only when the illusion dies that truth can take its first breath. And one of the things I'm super proud of myself for now is being able to go through life exactly like that, being honest. It was a very strange thing when it first started, when I found myself being honest, and I mean truly honest, no little white lies. When people weren't there, I was doing things that I would do if people were there, not being different in front of people as opposed to when people aren't around. And it's only when the illusion dies that, like I say, the truth starts to take its first breath. I'm going to take another little break again. Just, I hope you don't mind. I am incredibly worn out, but I just don't want to go and rest just yet. So let's keep going. Oh, this is another one I like. I do love these little instrumental interludes. Certainly makes the show a lot more. It's got more of a flow to it. Now, what I will say actually quickly, whilst I'm talking about the music, if any artists are out there and you've got material or music or songs that you would like to get out to the public, please, if it's yours and it's raw and you genuinely own it and you would like me just to advertise it and tell people where to get it and play it on the station, I have no issue with that. So maybe reach out if you can. I'm going to open up a website. Not a website. I'm going to get an email address for us so you can send stuff in so I can start working and doing things like that. So if you've got any music or anything like that you would like me to share, then I absolutely would. I'm also thinking about allowing, if you've got any writing or anything you want to get off your chest, send it in, and then I don't mind trying to read it for you. That being said, let's get back to the show without further ado. So after the mirror, the reflection with pure honesty, once you've seen who you had become and you don't like that, I mean, for me, I didn't like who I was. I was ashamed of who I'd become. I didn't like who I was. So the next step is, what do we do? And I don't know when it happened. I'm not even sure why it happened. I just know that something did happen. And that spark of life, of enjoyment, just something inside me awakened, like it was awakening the inner light. And that's because I believe in every shadow there's a spark, that the inner light that never goes out. I mean, people often say to me, I don't know how you carried on, don't know how you got through it. Well, there's a truth to this, in that I had no choice. You've got two options: you give up or you carry on. Now, I'm not even going to fib and say I didn't try and check out a few times, and I'm glad I never did, because that light, I know, shines brightly inside of me now. I can't believe that I'm sitting here doing this. It's incredible. And the awakening is not loud. It whispers. It forgives. It reminds you that you were never broken, just buried. And I like that, because we're ill people trying to get better. And the light isn't something you can go out and find. You know, the spiritual experiences, the awakenings, this isn't something you find externally. This is something that happens within us. For me, when I work on myself spiritually, and I hand my will, my life, and my guidance over to Odin. You can use whichever higher power, whatever you wish. I don't mind. But when I hand my life over, it becomes a path of less resistance. I start to grow. I start to see more, and it is something you uncover. I can't show you where your awakening is. It's not a physical place that we can go to. I'm not even sure what connected me first. I'm not even sure what it was where I found that inner spark, but I definitely did along the way. And as I've worked with it and walked with it and moved forward, it's grown, it's got bigger. I have learned to listen to my body, listen to my mind and my system when it's tired, when it's had enough. And it's, through the stillness and the silence, the acceptance, through saying, I'm ready to start again. I'm ready to give it another go. These things are important. And for me, when I found that spark inside, it was a magical experience. I started to feel a pull to, I'm going to say, a literal light. And it does. Once you feel it, once I had a connection, and I can't explain what it was or how it really happened, but it did light a fire under my belly. And I truly believe it. Look at me now, 5 years on. And I don't say look at me now like look at me, I'm good, but I do enjoy the success I'm having. I enjoy being here. It's a job that I never thought I'd be able to get. And I've been lucky enough to create a space in which I'm my own boss. It's up to me how fast I go, how slow I go. And that's important. And then after the awakening, there's another part that comes along, and that is the purpose that rose within. Now, before I came into the rooms or into recovery, I didn't have a purpose. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know what I wanted. I had no idea. Yeah. And the biggest problem with not having a purpose is you're bored, you have idle time. And for me, idle time is terrible time, because idle time turns into terror. Terror turns into chaos. Chaos turns into carnage. Carnage turns into destruction. Destruction turns into devastation. Oh, yeah, that sounded like my past completely. And when you rise from the shadow work, you don't become someone new. You absolutely don't. You're still the same person. You become who you were meant to be all along. Now, that's really important. So you don't change, but you are the same person, and you become who you were supposed to be. And you do see that. You see it in recovery all the time. Ugh, sorry. And the rebirth isn't about perfection. It's about alignment. You stop pretending. You stop trying to paint a picture for people that isn't real. You stop running. That was a huge thing for me. I don't run from anything anymore. You know, the damage is done. Stand there and take your lick, so to speak. I started to walk with purpose. That was huge for me. I started to like say, walk along and there was a purpose to my life. Carrying your scars like a symbols of initiation. And that's what life is. A series of deaths and resurrections. You know, it's, I'm so tired, sorry. Each one takes you closer to the truth. And it is a special, special moment. I think I've killed it a bit because I'm so tired. I do apologise. Let's come over quickly. So I am going to play one more song, and then I may just have a little break and come back afterwards. Before I do, let's just leave you with a little mantra, if you like. If you're in the dark now, don't rush it. The light will find you, and it'll find you when you're ready to see it. Transformation isn't an event, it's a becoming. You are the storm and the calm that flowers. You are the shadow and the flame. You are rebirth itself. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening as always. I'm just going to play you another little song, and then I'm going to dip out for a bit, and I'll be back on later. I'll probably put another show up later. If not, it'll be tomorrow. But just have a absolutely beautiful evening and sit back and enjoy. Thank you so much